Some people are tougher than others. That's just the way of things.
Licis will lever that up.
But some are so seriously tough, you definitely don't want to get on the wrong side of them. These are people you don't want to mess with. Number 15. Blessing Awodibu. When someone is called a force of nature, you just know they're gonna be someone you don't want to mess with. That is definitely true regarding Blessing Awodibu. Blessing is a highly successful Irish pro bodybuilder known for his massive physique.
Fight through it, they're fighting.
He has 2 Arnold Classic titles, 4 IFBB champion titles, and masses of competition wins spanning several years. The 30-year-old is making waves in the bodybuilding world, with one of the main reasons being his muscle mass. He weighs anywhere between 235 to 245 pounds and has been packing on more and more muscle as the months and years go by. Believe it or not, Blessing's amazing body is one of pure hard work and dedication. He was a thin child and never seemed to be able to gain weight. He didn't even like taking his shirt off at the beach in case he was judged for his small frame. Unable to afford to go to the gym, he set up a makeshift version in his garden shed. And, well, the rest is history. Just look at him now. Like this video, smash the subscribe button and click the notification bell right now, or this centipede will crawl on your face when you're sleeping. Number 14. Shifu Shi Yan Ming. Our childhoods ultimately shape our adulthoods, and Shifu Shi Yan Ming is an example of what early intervention can do for one's strength and spirit. Shifu's parents were extremely poor. His father's family were essentially homeless, while his mother's family were not that much better off. Before Shifu was born, his family had already lost 3 children to starvation under Mao Zedong's government. When Shifu was a toddler, he became very sick. His family tried everything, but ultimately thought they had lost him. As they bundled him up to take his body away, they were stopped by an acupuncturist who performed acupuncture and allowed Shifu to heal. To this day, Shifu believes he was a bodhisattva that Buddha sent to save his life. Shifu's parents were Buddhists and took Shifu to the Shaolin Temple. He was able to see the head monk, and he became the youngest monk there at 5 years old. At the temple, Shifu learned acupuncture and kung fu and other fighting forms. He would start his day at 4:30 a.m. and spent all day practicing and praying. Shifu was also very competitive, so it was in his nature to win every fight. After getting such a helping hand early in life, Shifu Shi Yan Ming and his Chan Buddhism and Shaolin Temple martial arts skill is not a man you'd want to mess with. Number 13. Vittorio Perbizzari. Vittorio, or Vito Perbizzari, is one of those people you'd see for the first time and be immediately terrified. He stands at 6 feet 4 inches tall, features some pretty awe-inspiring iron muscles, and has a black beard and intimidating appearance. Then he opens his mouth and has a thick German accent.
Nach Beast Mode kommt God Mode.
In saying that, despite his appearance and impressive physique, Vittorio Perbizzari is actually quite a lovely guy. He is a fitness blogger and professional bodybuilder and features heavily on social media, where he shares his workout routine to over 100,000 of his fans. But that's not all he can do. Vito is also an actor and has appeared in quite an intimidating role on the Netflix web television series called Dogs of Berlin. The show was released in 2018, and Vito played the role of Hence Tarek in 4 episodes in 2018. Vito also appeared in the 2019 short film The Woodcutter as a henchman, the TV series Tatort as Charlie, and the role of Reinhardt in the movie Lion's Return. Even though he's a little bit scary, it's clear to see Vito has talent in both the fitness and film world. Number 12. Jigo Uguru. Jigo Uguru is a man with some crazy impressive MMA skills, which is why he can definitely get away with calling himself the Black Ninja. He definitely has some impressive ninja skills up his sleeve. Jigo has been at least familiar with martial arts since he was a child and began getting involved in exercise and taekwondo at 4 years old. He worked hard at his sport, but it wasn't enough. He needed a new challenge. By the time he was a teenager, he got involved with Thai boxing, then moved on to karate and Krav Maga. He even put some of his gymnastic skills he's picked up to good use in these unique fighting styles. But that's not all Jigo Uguru can do. He engages in parkour to keep his strength up and has some incredibly powerful movements and foot techniques. He's quick on his feet, can punch several times in just a few seconds, and can switch between various fighting styles at rapid speed. He even likes to take it up a notch by mixing martial arts with calisthenics. Is there anything Jigo Uguru can't do? Number 11. Hatsumi Masaki. Even at 88 years old, Hatsumi Masaki is still someone you would never challenge to a fight. After all, you don't just forget decades of training and teaching, even though you're now old. Hatsumi used to be known as Yoshiaki Hatsumi and is a teacher in Noda, Chiba, Japan. He founded the Bujinkan organization and was its former Togakure Ryu Soke, also known as a Grand Master. When he was a child, he was heavily involved in sports, martial arts, and theater. He learned judo, rose through the ranks, then eventually started teaching it to American soldiers at the Yokota Air Base. He decided on a career in martial arts teaching and spent 15 years on Honshu Island, learning ninjutsu techniques, judo, and karate. He now has the rank of Soke or headmaster at 9 different martial arts schools. His form of training is somewhat different from others, as he focuses on the feeling of techniques, which makes the movements more realistic in a real setting. As there's no real need for most ninja arts in this day and age, Hatsumi focuses on teaching taijutsu, but mentions the other art forms for historical study reasons. Number 10. J.D. Iceman Anderson. If you've ever found yourself in the predicament of not being able to open your pickle jar, then it's worth tracking down J.D. Anderson, also known as the Iceman. His superhuman strength will have the pickle jar so terrified it'll open itself. JD has 6 world records under his belt for doing some pretty crazy things. One of these includes the most ice blocks broken by a human battering ram. He can rip license plates in half with his teeth, break baseball bats over his knees and back, and even roll up frying pans with his bare hands as if they're just made of tinfoil. Because of his strength, he has made a name for himself and even starred on TV shows. You may have seen him on America's Got Talent, The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, Guinness World Records Gone Wild, and Guinness World Records in Milan, just to name a few. In saying that, JD uses his powers for good as well. He travels around the country and even the world as a motivator in churches and schools. If you want to see his strength in person, you'll also find him attending many events where he showcases his strength, such as the Pennzoil Auto Fair. Number 9. Martyn's Licis. Are you moving house? It might be worth giving Martyn's Licis a call to help with the sofa. He'll have you moved in no time. Martyn's is a Latvian-American strongman who is definitely not someone you'd want to mess with. He won the 2019 World's Strongest Man competition and went on to place second in the Arnold Strongman Classic as well. If that's not enough to show you that this man has muscles of steel, then nothing will. The 6'2", 331-pound man grew up in Amherst, Massachusetts, but speaks fluent Latvian. He also used to visit his grandparents' farm in Latvia, where his grandfather introduced him to stone lifting. His grandfather, Imants Licis, used to compete in Olympic weightlifting. 10 years ago, Martyn's moved to California and got a job as a personal trainer. After hearing about the Odd Hagen All-American Strength Classic, he decided to start training for it. He competed for the first time 5 years later. Since then, he has won the Odd Hagen All-American Strength Classic, became the world's strongest man, and then placed 4th in it twice. Moving house or opening jars, Martyn's is the man for the job. Number 8. Bear Grylls. If you're gonna end up lost in the wilderness with anyone, you would definitely want it to be Bear Grylls. This jack of all trades makes living on next to nothing in the great outdoors look like a walk in the park. He is a former SAS serviceman, a survival instructor, and an honorary lieutenant colonel. But that's not all. He's a writer, adventurer, businessman, and television presenter. Is there anything he can't do? You might think the name of Bear is quite fitting for this adventurer, but that's not actually his real name. Bear was born Edward Michael Grylls, but his sister gave him the nickname Bear when he was 1 week old. And it stuck. Over his lifetime, he has achieved some pretty amazing things. He climbed Mount Everest, circumnavigated the British Isles on jet skis,
At least 5 or 6 in there now,
and crossed the North Atlantic in an inflatable boat. Bear and 2 others also set a Guinness World Record for the longest continuous indoor freefall, beating the 1 hour 36-minute record by a few seconds. The father of 3 is showing no signs of slowing down and has been featured in many books and TV shows to show off just how many adventures he's been a part of. Number 7. Mustafa Ismail. Move over, Popeye. There's a new mouth to feed. Mustafa Ismail is a bodybuilder from Massachusetts who has the world's largest arms. While he says he doesn't use any oils or synthetic products, his upper arms measure a whopping 31 inches. Because of rumors surrounding his supposed use of steroids, Mustafa's official world record title was up in the air. Still, that doesn't mean he doesn't have the world's largest arms, just not officially. Yet. Mustafa says his everyday routine is what has enabled him to build up the muscle mass in his arms that he has. He eats 9 pounds of carbs every day, drinks 3 gallons of water, and eats 7 pounds of protein. He also prefers beef to spinach, which is what we all used to think was a staple of large muscles. He also eats a lot of poultry and seafood, while also drinking a lot of protein shakes between his 2-hour daily workouts. During these, he can lift as much as 600 pounds. Even though some people have their doubts about how real his muscles are, Mustafa says doctors have collected blood samples and x-rays and discovered nothing abnormal. Number 6. Vidyut Jammwal. Imagine being so good at what you do that you're named one of the best in the world. That really happened for commando actor Vidyut Jammwal, who is well known for his stunts on the big screen. In 2018, he featured in a prestigious list produced by Looper that labeled him as one of the best 6 martial artists in the world on a list of 10. Vidyut is also the only Indian to appear on the list, according to the Times of India. Movie directors have nothing but good things to say about Vidyut as well. Director Chuck Russell said he has a rare combination of killer moves and cinematic charm that make him unstoppable. He also has a lot of knowledge about Kalaripayattu too, a form of martial arts. Chuck Russell even created a role just to support Vidyut's unique fighting style. Others on the list include the Russian President Vladimir Putin, Bear Grylls, Scott Adkins, Wu Jing, and Lateef Crowder. They are all people you wouldn't want to meet in a dark alley or challenge to a fight, that's for sure. Number 5. Tony Jaa. It's not the first time we've heard that people have been inspired by Jet Li, Jackie Chan, and Bruce Lee to learn martial arts. But rarely do you hear of people being so inspired that they're nearly as good as them. That is definitely the case with Tony Jaa. Tony Jaa, or Tachakorn Yerum, is a Thai martial artist, stuntman, actor, action choreographer, director, and, believe it or not, a former Buddhist monk. He played the lead role in Ong Bak Muay Thai Warrior, Ong Bak 2 The Beginning, and parts in other standout films like Furious 8, Paradox, and Tom Yum Goong. Tony grew up in a rural part of Surin province and used to watch Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, and Jet Li films at temple fairs. He was so inspired and passionate about their moves that he would practice the moves while doing his chores or playing with friends. He started training in Muay Thai at 10, then attended Maha Sarakam College of Physical Education, where he graduated with a bachelor's degree. Tony's future was set, and it wasn't long before he was working with a stuntman and learning all the martial arts moves he could. He has many upcoming roles in the pipeline, including Monster Hunter, Detective Chinatown 3, and A Man Will Rise. Number 4. Martyn Ford. You don't get a name like The Nightmare without having some freakish skills and talents. Martyn Ford is a force to be reckoned with, and you may be surprised at just how his journey unfolded. The actor and bodybuilder used to be a cricketer and was determined to make it pro. But after a career-ending injury followed by glandular fever, those dreams were crushed. So he came up with a new set of goals. He started going to the gym to vent his frustration and decided that he'd found his new path. He beefed up, turned to bodybuilding, and is now an actor, Instagram star, and MMA fighter. Given that he's 6 feet 8 inches tall and weighs 319 pounds, it seemed like a natural progression to make his way into the ring. So he signed with the Polish promotion company KSW. He gets the title of The Nightmare by not being someone you would mess with, but also for his role as an actor in Undisputed 4. From being a fit and lean cricketer to a muscly, huge bodybuilder, the transformation of Martyn Ford is incredible. Number 3. Isao Machii. Isao Machii may not be a skilled fist fighter, but he doesn't need to be. Instead, he holds 6 Guinness World Records for his exceptional katana skills. In fact, he is so skilled with his sword cuts that what he manages to achieve doesn't actually seem possible. He made the most sword cuts to a tatami mat on the ground, and then cut a standalone mat 7 times before it fell to the ground. He then went on to beat his own record by cutting it 8 times. Isao began learning his sword techniques when he was 5 years old and now runs his own dojo, which involves passing traditions onto his students. His goal was to test the limits of the modern samurai, and we're pretty sure he has achieved just that. He can make 1,000 sword cuts in the fastest time and managed to perform 1,000 straw mat cuts in just 36 minutes and 4 seconds. That breaks down to around 1 cut every 2 seconds for over half an hour. We'd like to put him on a chef knife and see what he's capable of in the kitchen. Number 2. Hafþór Björnsson. Hafþór Júlíus Björnsson, who often gets called Hafþór, would not be worth facing in an arm wrestle. Even if you think you're pretty strong, Hafþór is just that much stronger. He is an Icelandic former pro strongman and actor, and was the first person to win World's Strongest Man, Europe's Strongest Man, and the Arnold Strongman Classic all in 1 year. If he looks familiar to you, but you don't follow the strongman scene, then you may recognize him as Gregor the Mountain Clegane, which he played in Game of Thrones for 5 seasons. Otherwise, though, you might even recognize him from the basketball court. He used to play basketball as a career, but had to retire due to an ankle injury. To be honest, though, changing his career didn't do him any harm. The 31-year-old has many strongman titles under his belt, including 3 bronze and 3 silver medals in just 6 attempts before being crowned the champion in 2018. In 2020, he deadlifted 1,105 pounds, which broke the strongman deadlift record by 3 pounds. Talk about superhuman strength. Number 1. Tony Sentmanat. There can be more to strength in life than just lifting a few weights and opening a few pickle jars. It's often how you apply that strength to real-life situations. Tony Sentmanat is definitely not someone anyone would want to mess with, especially criminals. He is a retired law enforcement SWAT operator and Marine Corps veteran with over 2 decades of experience. He also practices mixed martial arts and was a law enforcement combative trainer and firearms instructor for close to 2 decades. If that's not enough to convince you of this guy's power and strength, then maybe his long career in SWAT will. He has been involved in over 800 real-life situations that called upon his strength and ability to thrive in a stressful situation. No matter the task at hand, be it undercover surveillance, working with federal agencies, criminal investigations, fugitive recovery, or tactical operations, Tony could get involved without blinking an eye. He retired from law enforcement in 2016 and ended up starting his own business that allowed him to share his worldly experiences covering his life and career. Most of us know better than to mess with people a lot bigger or wiser than us, but usually we don't have too many people like that in our lives. Tell us, would you mess with any of these people? Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on screen right now. See you next time!